Good evening, and welcome to the debut episode of the John Cady podcasts. I'm John Cady, a retired Navy veteran, a former minister, and a man who's been through a lot in life. But I'm not going to get into all that in today's episode. Today's episode, I'm going to talk about what led me to start sharing my experiences and who brought me or influenced me to be doing these podcasts. In 2011, between then and 2013, I had a YouTube channel where I posted content, some of which was kind of over the top. But unfortunately, as is often the case, some of that content became too over the top. I started venturing into political topics that caught the attention of the wrong kind of people, people wearing suits. And as a result, I ended up having to take the channel down and take down all the videos that came with it. Some of the topics YouTube had demonetized as well because of the controversy involved, including one that was highly critical of disgraced British television presenter Jimmy Savile, and the less said about him, the better. Over a decade later, and as I am now approaching a transition period where I will eventually be leaving the workforce and going into retirement, a man's got to find hobbies. As someone with a radio and television background, I studied radio and TV communication at Fairmont State University. That was my minor. I was a mathematics major. But I definitely enjoyed broadcasting a whole lot more than I did trying to figure out equations. However, as I graduated from Fairmont State, I discovered that the broadcasting market is very fickle. They're very picky about who they want in front of their cameras and in front of their microphones. That was what led me to a career in the military, where I started in the Air Force, switched over to the Navy, retired out of the Navy in 2005 with a little over 20 years in. And then my civilian experiences have been varied with different types of jobs. But again, now that I'm getting older, it was time to revisit this hobby, this desire to make my voice heard and to communicate to others what's going on in the world. And what better place to start than with my own? So now we have all that aside, but who are some of the people who inspired me to get back into the game, so to speak? First shout out I want to give is to Adam Reeder. He's a podcaster and YouTuber who hosts Professor of Rock. I have been following his show for several years. The man has an encyclopedic knowledge of the music business and artists, things that I never knew existed. And I like to study that stuff on my own as a hobby. But the way he goes about it, it comes across like he's not trying to push it on you. He wants you to be drawn in and welcome into the world that he has. And you walk away entertained, you walk away very well informed, and with a deeper appreciation for some of the music that, in my case, I grew up with, because a lot of what he talks about are artists who were around in the 1960s through the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. Another one who is a professional journalist and has inspired me to get back in the game because of his in-depth knowledge of journalism and his devotion to the cause that he has championed for decades is none other than Chris Hansen. Chris Hansen started off working with NBC. He did his now famous To Catch a Predator. Then he also went to doing various independent productions, including his current Takedown with Chris Hansen on the True Blue channel. He also hosts these videos on YouTube, and he also hosts podcasts which perked my interest because, in general, I'm a fan of true crime. And because of that, and just knowing that Chris Hansen has this professional air about him, this decades of experience, both as a journalist and working with law enforcement, he definitely is one who has inspired me to get back into the game as well. Another one, and she's fairly new to this, she's better known for her broadcasts on Sirius XM, is a young lady from the Chicago area named Erica Leanne. Erica Leanne hosts a heavy metal music program on Sirius XM, but she also does a lot of travel videos and travel podcasts. And what perked my interest in her? One, her love of similar types of music that I enjoy, but also having been in the military, having had the opportunity to travel and visit different countries, experience different cultures. That is what made her very interesting and appealing to me, because I found a kindred spirit in that here's somebody who enjoys to travel, enjoys seeing different places and meeting different people. And the people who work with her do an outstanding job in documenting all these adventures, and you get a deep appreciation for the history and the culture of each country she's visited. Now, so far, she's visited over 40 countries across Europe, and she's also been to Turkey. I'm looking forward to hearing more about these, because someone like her is definitely an asset in educating people about other countries and other cultures. But I would be remiss if I didn't include this person. One of the people who initially got me interested in radio and television in the first place, and steering me in recent years toward doing these podcasts, is none other than Scott Reppert. Scott Reppert is a friend of mine from my hometown, Fairmont, West Virginia. How that came about was there was a local radio station, WTCS AM 1490, and they played music that was very different from what most radio stations would play at the time. And I was so fired up about it that I even tried to get a job there as a teenager. I was 16 years old. It was summer of 79. I went to the station, did a live on-air audition, and everything went good until I made the one big mistake, and that was I played an 8-minute song during what is called drive time. That's between the hours of 3 and 6 in the afternoon. Needless to say, I didn't get the job, but at least I had the experience. And I became a big fan of the station ever since. And it was people like Scott Reppert, and also other people like Tim Satterfield and John Conrad, who definitely got me interested into the business at the local level. So, in closing, this is my introduction, and I will be putting more of these out in the not too distant future. I'm looking forward to getting emails from everybody, and if you stumble across my YouTube channel, just like everyone else says, hit the like button, hit subscribe. I'll put out new content as time permits. So, wrapping this up, again, this is John Cady. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.